It is time for another mailbag edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Now, you may be sitting here, you hit play on the YouTube video, and you're like, wow, this is awesome. How do I get my questions in? How do I be a part of a mailbag? Well, here is the answer you are looking for. If you subscribe to the channel, then you can join our live shows that we do during the week, and you can send in your questions, and I'll answer them in real time right there in our chat box if you use the hashtag NFL or Super Chat. It's a great thing. So go ahead and subscribe for free right now, turn on notifications, and be a part of our mailbag segments here on NFL Daily. First question in the mailbag this week comes from Donald. Donald Duck, quack, quack. Do you think the Bears are going to sign anyone with their excess cap space, or do you think they are saving it for contract extensions? Donald, a little bit of both. Not trying to give you a cop-out answer here, but we all know the Chicago Bears have a ton of money to spend. They entered the offseason with $100 million in cap space. And I think what you're going to see from the Bears is that they could make another splash signing or two, but also save that money for those long-term guys. Remember, this is a prove-it year for Justin Fields to see if he's going to get paid and get that extension. And a number of guys that they're going to have to decide if they want to keep around the long term. So I think you can have both, where there might be a player or two you want to have, but still save a lot of that money for the future as well, as far as that goes, Donald. So we'll see. But the Bears have a bright future going forward. I like what that organization is doing right now. Junior writes, should the Patriots sign Jarvis Landry in free agency? Well, we've talked about Jarvis Landry quite a bit over on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. If you're a Patriots fan, go ahead and subscribe. Brand new channel, and we are having a great time talking Patriots over there on Patriots Today. And what's interesting with that Patriots team, here's what you're looking at right now if you're the New England Patriots. When I look at that roster from top to bottom, in the receiver position might be the perfect example of this, is that you have a Patriots team that has a lot of good players, but not a lot of great players, okay? And so with that, the Patriots are the fourth best team in their division. Not a bad team, but the fourth best team in their division. And so I circle back to all that to go to Jarvis Landry. And you see that receiving core. You brought in Juju. Juju's a good player. You have some other good guys there. I feel like Jarvis Landry might just be one of those other guys that's there. He's not necessarily the explosive player you're looking for. And he's also had the injury history as of late. I don't think it would hurt you if you can get him real cheap to bring him in, but I'm not going to spend a ton of money. I'm going to do the Bill Belichick philosophy if I'm bringing in Jarvis Landry, and I'm shopping at Costco or Sam's or something like that if I'm bringing in Jarvis. So I'm open to the possibility, but not for a whole lot of money if I'm doing. Edwin writes, will Chase Young get traded? So there's a lot of smoke to this, right? Of the possibility of the Commanders ultimately moving on from Chase Young. Chase Young was fantastic his rookie season with Washington. Remember all the hype when he was coming out of the Ohio State as the number 2 overall pick. And, I mean, he was supposed to be all that, right? And then what we've seen the last 2 seasons with Chase Young has been a number of injuries, and things have stacked up. The talent is still there for Chase Young, but as far as what he's been able to do, it's been kind of disappointing, to say the least. And the Commanders ultimately declined that fifth-year option. I think they're weighing their possibilities. If they get an offer that they can't refuse, then they very well could make that trade. I would lean towards, if you had to put a number on it, I would give it about a 65% chance that Chase Young gets traded. I think it's about a 65% chance. There's still an outside chance he stays, and they find a way to keep him around, but I'd give it about a 65% chance. Should the Commanders trade Chase Young? What do you think? Y for yes, in for no. It's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break, so take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Tell me one way or the other. Y for yes, in for no. Should the Commanders trade Chase Young or not? Jared says, do you see Tampa Bay trading Mike Evans or Chris Godwin soon? The answer on that, Jared, I would say is no, because I think that if they were going to move on from Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, they would have already done that by now, because they had plenty of suitors and opportunities to do so a couple months ago before the draft, when they could have gotten draft capital for either one of those guys. And the Bucs are in a weird place, right, where you're trying to rebuild, but you're still in somewhat contention of some sorts because you're in such a bad division. And so the Bucs find themselves in one of these hybrid rebuilds, which is always an awkward scenario, where you look at that Bucs team, and I think what's going to happen is the Bucs are going to rebuild everything around Evans and Godwin, where maybe at this time next year we're talking about a whole different team around those two guys. So I don't think either one's getting traded now. If it was going to happen, I think it would have happened a couple months ago. And the Bucs are going to be in this weird spot where, okay, we're going to try to keep these guys but build everything else around them, and we'll see how that goes. It's a weird position for sure. Cali Llama. Are there llamas in California? Says, hashtag NFL, best landing spot for Jadeveon Clowney. Any chance the Pats may take a swing if it comes on the cheap? Jadeveon Clowney. I think there's been talk about him potentially coming back to Houston. I've seen that's come up. Seattle's been a team that's been mentioned. Jadeveon Clowney's still got good football left in him. The Pats, I mean, Belichick, as we mentioned earlier, he always is down for a bargain buy. That could be a potential fit. I think there's a lot of possibilities for Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career as far as that goes. But we'll see, Cali Llama. Thanks for the question there. So rookie jerseys are on sale right now at chatsports.com/Ravens jersey and chatsports.com/NFL jersey. And you check these out, these jerseys that we have on your screen here. I mean, think about this, folks. If your team, let's say you're a Texans fan, they just got C.J. Stroud. Maybe you're a Seahawks fan with Devin Witherspoon or a Falcons fan with Bijan Robinson. These players are going to be the faces of your franchise for the next several years to come. And so what are you waiting for on getting a jersey when these guys are going to be around a while? I mean, get the most out of your jersey, wear it now, so when you show up to your game day event, your party, or at the stadium, you got that jersey before anyone else did. It's a great deal. I mean, we got every team. We got men's and women's. We got all different shapes and sizes. Whatever you're feeling, you can get these rookie jerseys right now while supplies last. Chatsports.com/NFL jersey to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Got time for a few more questions here. Let's start with Daniel. Daniel writes, any chance the Cowboys can sign Robbie Gould for kicker and bring back T.Y. Hilton for wide receiver 4? I think anything is on the table when it comes to the kicker position for the Dallas Cowboys as far as that goes. When it comes to bringing back T.Y. Hilton at wide receiver 4, T.Y. Hilton, I think what was it, like October or November last year when they brought in T.Y. Hilton? They had a few moments here and there from time to time last year for Dallas, but we'll see as far as that goes. Yeah, I think both are possibilities. Robert writes, do you think the Eagles will be as good as they were last year? So the way the offseason was kind of going for Philadelphia entering 2023, you saw a Philadelphia team that lost a couple of pieces initially. But then the way that Howie Roseman responded in the NFL draft with the moves that they made there in Philly with, you guys know, all the Georgia cats they brought in, the Jalen Carters, the Nolan Smith, the Keely Ringos of the world. Watch out. The Eagles are going to be very good. Now, will they be as good as they were last year? I don't know, because they were pretty good last year. They were a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. I mean, you know, if we saw a couple plays go different, it might have been a whole different story, right? And here's one thing I would caution you, I would think about as far as this goes, Robert. Maybe the Eagles are as good as they were a year ago, or maybe they're a little bit less. But I think the Niners are going to be improved. And the Niners are going to be better. And the Seahawks are going to be better. The Cowboys are there. So even if they are a little bit better, watch out for the other teams that are going to make it tougher on them than the path that they faced a season ago. So the Eagles definitely a force to be reckoned with, but I think their competition is going to be a little tougher. Jerry writes, where will DeAndre Hopkins end up? That's the million-dollar question we're all waiting to see. Who wants to pay DeAndre Hopkins? That's the more important question at this point in time. And I don't know if anyone wants to pay DeAndre Hopkins all that money, if they can work out the details to take a pay cut and all that. In the process of when it was going on, we talked about, New England, Kansas City, Baltimore, kind of all those teams that were looking for that number one receiver, but things are kind of at a stalemate right now. I think even Dallas was mentioned as a possibility at one point in time. So where will he end up? Let's see what you could figure out as far as money terms goes. What do you think, guys? Tell us in the comments section. What team will DeAndre Hopkins play for in 2023? Let us know in the comments section. Give me one team where you think ultimately he's going to end up. All right, GM Evan writes with the Boise State Bronco avatar from the Blue Turf. I think Jaren Hall might start for Minnesota this season. They will bench Kirk like Vegas did with Carr, and Hall will be their future. Okay, Evan, let's be real here for a second. Kirk Cousins, not great, but good enough. Kirk Cousins, top 10 quarterback in this league, or at least top 15 for sure. I think Kirk Cousins gets a bad rap. I think that Kirk Cousins, when you look at the issues of this Minnesota Vikings team, Cousins is not the biggest issue by far. They have other problems that are more concerning as far as Cousins goes. Will he get benched? I don't see Cousins getting straight up benched for Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall's a little undersized for the National Football League. I don't know if Jaren Hall is ever going to be a starting caliber QB as far as I'm concerned. I think that he could be a potentially good backup. We know he's a very good athlete, but don't get your hopes up on the idea that Jaren Hall is the future for the Minnesota Vikings. Jason writes, which team, in your opinion, has made the best moves this offseason? Also, on the other end of the spectrum, which team has been the head scratcher? That's a very good question. Which team has been the best this offseason? There's a lot of ways I could go with this as far as who necessarily has been the winners and the losers. I mean, we were talking about Philly when they had lost some guys in free agency. The way they rebounded and did great in that draft, they were a big winner. I thought Pittsburgh was a big winner. I mean, about every pick for them was an A. I thought Seattle was a big winner this offseason with what they did with Bobby Wagner, Draymond Jones, and the draft with bringing in Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Those are some of the teams that look like winners. Now, as far as the losers go, I think New England didn't really do much when they should have taken a big step forward. I think the Jets would go in the winner column with what they did with Aaron Rodgers, obviously, and the moves that they made on that front there. I expected more of the Detroit Lions in the first round of the draft instead of the reaches that they made there. I didn't think the Jahmyr Gibbs pick made a whole lot of sense, but those are some of the head scratchers that come to mind as far as that goes. So it's going to be an interesting offseason still to go. We have still a lot of time left, a lot of moves to be made. We'll see what happens, but far from over just yet.